Let's go with this. So a couple of housekeeping. Well, first thing is, hello, welcome, good morning. My name is Stan Cook. That's the first of the housekeeping. Thanks for joining this. As you know, well, y'all kind of know why you're here. This is a one industry session. It's about industry support and readiness, the whole sessions. And this topic now is tourism product development opportunities in the time of COVID-19 and beyond. This is the second session we've done this morning. We have another one coming up this afternoon, and then all three sessions are happening again on Wednesday. So just as a housekeeping note, though, I love seeing everyone's face and saying how when we start this, what the best thing to do is put yourself on mute, or we can do that as well, but put yourself on mute and then also get rid of your video. That way people can be spotlighted, I believe is the proper term, properly. So we're going to get on the go now in a second. John Angelopoulos, who is the manager of Tourism Product Development and Development Division and Operators, will be joining us today for an overview of the overall provincial tourism development plan. And then we're going to shed some light on what folks are looking for, what the visitors are looking for. And of course, we know we're dealing mainly with the resident traveler and hopefully Atlantic bubble traveler, and hopefully even more so. But right now we're focusing on that. We have some tourism operators that are going to join in and give some real tactical views of what they did in the last year, what they plan to do in the upcoming time, potentially. Chris Shepard of Roots, Rants and Roars, Dwayne Collins of Hare Bay Adventures, who got on no problem, Autumn Gale of the U and Draw Hotel, and Ange Gilly of the Floridian Hotel will also join us at different parts of this program. And they're going to present their experiences and talk about product development, what they did, how they adapted, how they're going to move forward, what they learned, that type of stuff. So this is going to be informative for sure, and we're going to have some discussion. Some space allotted for discussion. We're going to have some breakout rooms towards the end of the session where we can ask some questions. If you do have any questions, guys, because there's going to be so many of us on, best thing to do is probably just type them in. If we can, and then if they're not addressed in the breakout session, I'll try to address them there at the very, very end if possible. This is also going to be recorded. This session will be recorded, and H&L will put it up on its YouTube site. So that's it'll be an opportunity to see that again if you really want to. So that's all kind of the housekeeping stuff. So I'm going to basically throw it over to John now, and then John could take over, give his presentation. But as I said, put yourself on mute and take your video off, and you don't have to worry about what you look like for the next half an hour or so, and then we'll come back to you. All right, John, over to you, my man.
Good morning. My name is John Angelopoulos, and I'm the manager of tourism product development for the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts and Recreation, and our division is responsible for tourism product development in the province. I want to thank Stan and Craig and the team at Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador for putting these series of webinars together today and Wednesday. I think it's a really great opportunity for our three divisions to get out and have a conversation with operators. So we're really happy to be here today. Stan introduced the operators that I have invited to come in and speak. And, you know, I think we have some best practices that we're going to be able to share with you folks a little bit later. So we're happy to be here, and we're happy to be a part of the conversation. So our provincial tourism product development plan hangs off a mandate, and that mandate is to create and deliver Newfoundland and Labrador brand experiences that attract more visitors, that encourage them to stay longer, and that encourage them to experience more. And what we always meant by experience more, we always meant spend more. So right now, we're working with our 5 destination management organizations on the ground, in addition to Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, through the Tourism Board to create a new long-term vision for Newfoundland and Labrador tourism. So this slide is what we refer to as the visitor journey. And anybody that has been out to our tourism opportunity sessions or any of our tourism planning sessions over the past couple of years would be fairly familiar with this slide. So basically, we had developed this visitor journey tool because A, we wanted industry to have better insight on exactly what some of the priorities we had in product development. And B, we also wanted to illustrate the touch points along the visitor journey, these baked in touch points that no matter if you're a resident or if you're a non-resident, you still need to go through these touch points on a visitor journey if you're going to participate in a vacation to Newfoundland and Labrador. So this is no different, from any of us that go on vacation, or any of our resident visitors that participate in vacations throughout the province, or any of our non-resident visitors. They need to go through some sort of visitor journey. So, now we have a global pandemic that's been, imposed on us. And, what does the visitor journey look like? And, what are some of the nuances and some of the changes to the visitor journey that, we need to have a conversation about, and we need to be aware of. For example, when we talk the pre-journey stage, the pre-planning and the booking stage, our traditional vacation market took 5 to 7 months to trip plan. And, we know that the resident market are going to be a lot more spontaneous in their trip planning and consumer behavior. And, if you go on to some of the social sites, you can see that folks are looking for, a bed and breakfast this weekend. So they're a lot more spontaneous in their trip planning. They could take anywhere between 5 to 7 days or 5 to 7 minutes to trip plan. So, operators being, lenient with cancellation policies and, competitive with those interactions from a planning and booking perspective is going to be very, very important to securing that business. The next piece of the visitor journey was around transportation, and a big cog of the visitor journey for us in product development was all about sense of arrival. And, what is that emotional trigger that we are going to, parlay to our visitors, when they come to Newfoundland and Labrador. And now that, we are in the midst of a global pandemic, how do we reinvite visitors back into our communities and into our accommodations and into our attractions? So, this is a bit of a conversation that we need to have. And, we're not going to be able to solve all of those nuances today. But, we know that the visitors that are here, they need visitor services. Our visitors need good highway signage, they need good wayfinding, they need good information from our VICs, meaning that, they need to be able to go into these provincial and VICs and, have that one-on-one, conversation with our VIC officers that, lets them know about, the iceberg that's just down around the corner, or the capelin that are rolling on the beach that, doesn't necessarily show up in a business listing. Visitors also need visitor information. They need to know what's open. Our visitors need to know that if there's any changes to, accommodations or attractions to which they have booked, because of COVID-19, because of, health and safety, and changes in health and safety, our visitors are going to need to know that in real time. Food and food experiences were also a big part of the visitor journey. So from last year's research, we know that 60% of our visitors, anchored restaurants and food experiences as, those marquee anchor, components of their vacation. So, craft breweries, restaurants, food experiences, those were all very, very popular for our visitors, for our resident market that traveled throughout the province. Accommodations are also, a touch point of the visitor journey that you can't really get around. So, people need to lay their heads in beds, during the night. So last year, I think 36% of our visitors felt comfortable staying in hotel, motel style accommodations. And to me, this presents an opportunity for our other accommodators out there to gravitate towards some of that resident business. Things to experience. So this is, what we really get excited about in product development. What did folks do last summer, when they traveled throughout the province? What were those core activities? What were those, those cultural activities that folks took part in? And, lastly, and our social media team is going to be on next. So I don't want to steal their thunder, but, they're going to really expand on, how you share on that brand promise and, how do you utilize those hashtags to really, get those products and experiences out there. And collectively, that's ultimately how we deliver on that brand promise. So these were the top 5 attractions and experiences that resident visitors like to participate in last summer. So like I said, local restaurants were a big part of the vacation planning for last year, as were walking and hiking trails. So we know food and walking and hiking trails were a big part of the visitor journey last year, as were beach experiences. So, if you had an accommodation or if you had an attraction that was close to a sandy beach, you probably did okay last year. Craft breweries were another big part of the visitor journey. So 1 in 4 of our visitors sought after these craft breweries that are out there in the province. And, we know that the Port Rextons and the Dildos and the Secret Coves, that, these breweries are becoming destinations in themselves. So our resident visitors were gravitating towards those properties, and historic sites, in particular outside of historic sites, were extremely popular attractions for visitors. So these were the top 5 outdoor activities that resident visitors participated in. So pleasure walking, as you can see, was the #1 activity that visitors like to participate in. And whale watching, camping, seabird watching, like these iconic type of outdoor activities, visitors also participated in. But as you can see, the participation rate is fairly low because, we feel that last year there wasn't a whole lot of things open. And lastly, #5 on our outdoor activities is hiking with a pre-made picnic. And Chris Shepard from Roots, Rants and Roars is going to expand on that a little bit later in our show. So as we organize provincial product development, and we do that in the context of the visitor journey, we like to do it under 4 provincial areas of focus. So that's around brand experiences, enhancing market readiness, collaborating to compete, and understanding value and success. So we had just concluded our provincial tourism product development plan in December of 2020. A lot of these initiatives are still ongoing. And, for example, if we look at destination trails, we know that investment that we had made in destination trails couldn't be more important than it is currently today, because we know going forward that our resident market and our non-resident market, when we open up, are going to, they're going to gravitate towards those destination trails even more than they did before. Enhancing market readiness is also a big part of the visitor journey. And, now that we have, a COVID-19 layer, layered on top of our visitor journey, providing health and safety protocols to our visitors, and, lowering the anxiety levels of our visitors is going to be extremely important. Collaborating to compete is also a big part of the visitor journey, filling in gaps along the visitor journey, and, packaging, itinerary-based programming and content development is still very, very important to our visitor. And finally, utilizing research is also a big part of a big part of the visitor journey that we utilize in product development. So, what does that look like for the 2021 spring, summer, fall outlook? So from a brand experiences perspective, based on the research that Michaela and her team derived last year, we had pulled 3 brand experiences that we feel industry should be focused on. And that's friends and families, hidden gems, and culinary and nature-based experiences. With updates to market readiness, we're recommending, adoption and commitment to health and safety protocols. Like, for example, the Clean It Right program that H&L have rolled out. Like, you want to sign up for that. And you want our visitors and our resident visitors to know that, you've gone that extra mile and, have, affiliated with a health and safety program. And, you have health and safety as the utmost, important protocol in your business operations. Being adaptable to new customer expectations is very important. Wayfinding and directional signage is also extremely important, and as is digital and online presence. So, if there's any changes in your business, any changes based on COVID-19, the visitors are going to want to know those changes in your business in real time. So, having an increased digital online presence is extremely important. Our tourism markets are highly competitive, and right now they're more competitive than they ever were. So, intense collaboration, itinerary development that really reflects resident sentiments and travel desires is ultimately how you're going to secure that business. And lastly, Michaela's team do a wonderful job in presenting, research on our website. So utilizing that COVID-based research and utilizing that research to inform decisions. So based on our research from last year, we know that 92% of our visitors said that they would travel again this year. So we know that what we did last year worked. So based on that, we have pulled 3 opportunities out of our research that we feel that we should be focused on. And the first opportunity is around culinary. So giving residents a taste of the province, featuring food and drink, basically in any setting, combining culinary activities with other activities. So combining culinary activities is going to add value, is going to expand on that traditional sense of taste that residents are looking for. So creating packages that, feature unique food and drink opportunities near hiking trails, near beaches, near historic sites. These are going to be big hits for our resident visitors. So regional, cross-regional packages and partnerships are going to be highly recommended. The next opportunity that we have, to really motivate travel is around hidden gems. And we found that 27% of our residents last year visited the destination for the first time. And 38% of those residents said that they would travel to new destinations. So we know that the resident traveler are explorers, and they don't mind getting out there and, poking around into those sub-regions and looking for those cool things to do. So, showcasing those destinations that have those hidden sites, those considered, hidden gems, that's an opportunity to really inspire travel and attracting residents by, appealing to their senses in culinary and nature-based experiences. So, with limited social interaction, folks are not really going to be able to do a whole lot of experiences when they get out in the field. So they're really, on a 3 or 4 day resident vacation trip, they're only going to be able to do, a couple of unique things. So really holding those unique hidden gems up and really accentuating those as a reason to come into your property, as a reason to come into your sub-region is going to be really enticing to visitors. And lastly, enabling residents to travel the province as a family or with friends. So really embracing the concept of family bubbles. So, visiting, with family or with friends is a highly important factor when it comes to residents and when it came to where they decided to travel. So, embracing the family concept, making it easy for families to, embrace attractions, to visit, local experiences, having, products and experiences that appeal to kids is typically something that we don't do in product development. But because this year we're catering towards primarily a resident market, having those products and experiences that appeal to kids' curiosity is going to be something that we're going to be able to trigger, those parents and getting those credit cards, down on charging for those products and experiences. So, I feel that these 3 opportunities can give us a bit of focus in the conversation for the rest of the webinar today. And that's basically it for me. I wanted to quickly thank or introduce my team. Lucy Always, our Provincial Tourism Development Officer. Ella Heenahan is our Northeast Avalon and Eastern Tourism Development Officer. Paul Taylor is our Western Tourism Development Officer, and Chris Tuck is our Central Tourism Development Officer. So we're listening to the conversation today. We're on board for any follow-up that anybody needs in order to to get prepared for this year. And again, I hope that you'll enjoy the presentations that we have prepared for our operators, and we're here to help. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Great job. So next, we're going to have a few operators join us to give us some insight on their experience. with product development during this crazy pandemic, how they adapted, what they learned, how they plan to move forward for 2021. I'm going to first invite Chris Shepard of Roots, Rants and Roars to present. It's a 2-day food festival. It takes place in beautiful Ellingston, and it's a celebration of this province's culture, food, land, sea. As a just under 1,000 people, I think, go to it. But I'm going to let Chris talk more about it. So, Chris, the floor is yours.
All right. Let me put my thing. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, John. Yeah, my name is Chris Shepard. I'm the event manager for Roots, Rants and Roars. It takes place in Elliston every year. It's a 2-day food festival, as Stan indicated. But as everyone knows, we had to make some changes this year because of COVID. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we did and how we made those changes. So first off, the festival is 2 days. It has 3 events, the Cod Wars, the Food Hike, and the Feast. And we looked at, when we were trying to make this decision, we kind of looked at all 3 and thought, where can we evolve one of these to create something new that would help us? So we really took our flagship event, which is the Food Hike, and used it to build this new experience. So last year when COVID hit and we knew we were going to be faced with some tough decisions around the festival and what we would do, we really kind of looked at taking a break. The year of COVID, it wouldn't be unusual for festivals to be paused for the year and take a break and see what happened. We also looked at creating and modifying the festival and what would that like. So I would say in a normal year, most of those decisions are made between myself and most of the usual decisions are made between myself and Roger Dooling, my partner in this event. However, this year we decided to get some input from multiple sources because it was an unusual year. So, looking at that collaboration piece, we worked with the DMOs, Destination St. John's and Legendary Coasts. We worked with the product development team in John's shop, and we worked with the marketing department as well. So we formed a committee. I think it's important for me to mention this part because we formed that committee, and that was what really helped us make the final decisions and drive this forward, working together with those people, just to give ourselves a broader perspective on what was happening across the province. So I think that's just a really important thing. So at the end of it, we decided we needed to do something because, tourists tend to be very fickle creatures, and to go a whole year and not talk about Roots, Rants and Roars or not be marketing in some way or having something going on would be detrimental, I felt, to the long-term sustainability of the festival. Because I think our fear was tourists would move on and find something else to do, and they probably wouldn't be as interested again. So the first thing we did is we laid out our goals. What is it we wanted to gain from doing the festival? I strongly believe that we had to have purpose in doing stuff. It wasn't just to do it just because we wanted to do it. We needed to have some ideas around what was that. So our goals for the festival this year were to increase the awareness of the Roots, Rants and Roars brand, increase our social media following and engagement. We wanted to drive traffic to the Roots, Rants and Roars website because we wanted the people who, if we increased our social media engagement, we wanted the people who saw that to then go to the website to learn about the traditional festival so that in the future they would want to come and be a part of that. We also wanted to raise awareness of Newfoundland hiking trails and the use of the hashtag HikeNL. We wanted to increase business to local restaurants. Roots, Rants and Roars, this would have been the 10th year for Roots, Rants and Roars. And over that time, many restaurants and chefs around the province had come to the event and they really supported us. Our chefs who come are volunteers. They give up their own time, they give up of their own business to come and participate. So we felt that they were, in such a rough time that we wanted to do something to give back to them and to help them. And we wanted to create an event that would attract residents to the various regions and to spend money. So then we looked at what our challenges were around this. So at the time, there was no large gatherings. Well, large, I guess, in perspective, but we were only allowed to have a maximum of 100 people. So we knew 100 people wasn't going to be financially viable for the festival. We also knew that there was changing guidelines regularly. So, we could plan to sell 100 tickets, but the day before the festival, if the guidelines changed, we would have been in a position of refunding all those people. Plus we would have been out the money for the startup or the investment that we made. We looked to possibly doing a virtual festival, but we felt that people were already getting bored of those online festivals. There was quite a few around. People had Zoom fatigue. And also the question around monetizing that. Again, we did want to try to generate some sort of revenue for the festival and to be able to support the businesses that we wanted to support. So we kind of felt like that was out. And also music or live entertainment, the Newfoundland musicians was such a large part of the event that we wanted to make sure we did something, and there was no live music being permitted at that time. So those were kind of the challenges we faced when we were trying to make our decision on what we would do. So the opportunities in that, again, we looked at the restaurants, and because the restaurant seating was reduced to 50%, we knew that the restaurants had capacity to be doing more work and to be producing more food. They just didn't have an avenue for people to come and enjoy that food. So we knew that was an opportunity. We also were watching the interest in hiking around Newfoundland and Labrador increasing steadily as well. A lot of people were talking about hiking, getting out and hiking. And a large part of that was because of the social distancing that was available on hiking trails. It was one of the few safe activities you could do at that time. And like I said, we had a bunch of engaged partners. So we knew the committee who owned Roots, Rents and Wars Tourism Elliston were really excited to do something, to make something happen. We had the DMOs of Legendary Coast and Destination St. John's who were on board as partners, and the province and ACOA as well as our funders. So what we came up with was a concept called My Food Hike. So again, it was a take on our traditional food hike that takes place in Elliston, but we wanted something that people could do anywhere. So I'm going to play this little video. We created a short video just to kind of explain the festival or what was going to happen this year to get it out to people. We just used old images that we had, some stock images the province had, to put this video together as an explainer. And when we posted on Facebook, we had over 4,500 people watch the entire video, and nearly 12,000 people engaged with the post, and a total reach of 22,000 people. So, immediately right off the bat, we realized that we might be onto something here with there's so much interest just in the video alone. So I'm going to play that for you now.
This year, we invite you to create your own food hike. Introducing My Food Hike by Roots, Rants, and Roars. Choose a hiking trail, maybe your favorite, or try out a new one. Visit one of our participating restaurants and order a picnic served in a Roots, Rants, and Roars insulated backpack. Before you head out on the trail, download the My Food Hike playlist from Spotify. Make sure you take lots of pictures to share on social media for your chance to win awesome prizes.
So that kind of explains, a brief explanation of the event. And really the goal again was to involve all aspects of the previous food hike, just to get as much aspects from Roots, Rants, and Roars as possible into this event. So we reached out to our restaurants partners and got them involved. We made sure we wanted to, to protect the brand of Roots, Rants, and Roars, and again, really be about this event to be about what Roots, Rants, and Roars is all about. So we invited restaurants who had previously been involved in Roots, Rants, and Roars, or chefs who had been involved. Because we wanted to focus on the local food, again, as John said, the importance of local food for the traveler this past year. So 25% of the menu that the restaurants had in their picnics had to be local ingredients. And also we had wanted their packaging to be as eco-friendly as possible. We didn't want people doing all this takeout and it just being a massive burden on the environment. So we kept an eye on all that as well. The hashtag HikeNL, we added a page to our website that had some blogs about hiking to give people an opportunity to learn more about the hiking in the province and to choose the trail. We had links to the Newfoundland hiking page on newfoundlandlabrador.com, the East Coast Trail website, and the Hike Discovery website. As part of our funding from ACOA and the province, we were able to purchase some Roots, Rants, and Roars insulated backpacks. Again, for us, this was like a marketing project, and we really wanted to get our brand out there and our brand awareness. So we were able to secure the funding to get these backpacks with our logo on it that we provided to every restaurant at no cost. So the restaurants could put their picnics in those backpacks without having to charge the customers for those backpacks, which was really a great way to keep the price points low for the picnics. So then in addition to that, we updated our website. We wanted again to make sure that when people went there, they could find the information they needed, but we also wanted to make sure that they could get information about the traditional festival. Because again, we were trying to market the festival, so in future years, people would know what they were coming for. We created an online calendar, which listed every restaurant and the days they were doing a picnic, their locations, their menus, and their contact and booking information. In addition to that, as part of that, we hired some bloggers, and we had some articles written about the festival, and we posted those, and we used those as part of our social media plan as well. And we created a Spotify playlist. It was all Newfoundland artists who had performed at Roots, Rants, and Roars in the past. Because again, we local music was such a huge part of the festival. We wanted to make sure we included that in this event as well. And then how we got the word out is mostly through social media and user-generated content. So we created a couple of contests which got people taking photos of their backpacks, taking photos of their picnics, and posting them. So we ran a promotion called "Where's Your Backpack?" The people had to post a picture of their picnic or their picnic on the hiking trail, tag Roots, Rants, and Roars, and use the hashtags MyFoodHike and HikeNL. And then we, from that, we had a grand prize winner who won tickets for Roots, Rants, and Roars 2021. So I guess we need to figure out what's happening for 2021, if the guidelines are going to loosen enough for us to run the festival. If not, we'll figure out something for that person. We also ran weekly photo contests, and we included this limited edition picnic backpack that included dishes, cutlery, and wine glasses, everything in it. And so people just every week we gave them a different theme, and people got to post their photos of the hiking trails, their hiking group, whatever they, whatever the theme was for the week. So then just to measure our success, we got some stats. So when the restaurants who got involved were all asked to keep statistics in terms of the amount of picnics they sold and the revenue generated. So you'll see that of the 16 participating restaurants, we sold 900 picnics and generated total revenue of $25,000 for the restaurants. Our website was quite busy with almost 11,000 people visiting our website. And the interesting thing was they stayed there an extremely long time. So people were on our website for an average of 12 minutes. And we attribute that largely to a couple of things. One, I think people were browsing different menus and looking at the different restaurants. But also because of the blogs we had written, people went on there and actually read them. We had almost 2,500 people read the blogs that we had written. One of our other goals was to increase our social media following, which we did. We increased our Instagram by 30% with a total engagement of almost 1,800, total reach of 16,653 with total impressions of over 95,000. The big one for us was Facebook. We had an 18% increase with a total engagement of almost 11,000, total reach of almost 210,000, for total impressions of 253,000 over the course of the month. So we were really pleased with that. It was a massive amount of reach for us. And from what we looked at in our analytics, a lot of them were new followers, were people who hadn't been engaged with us in the past. So it was really important to see that. The other thing it did for us is allowed us to reach out to people who had attended Roots, Rants, and Roars in the past. So we got pictures back from people in the US who couldn't come to Newfoundland, couldn't do a food hike, didn't have a backpack, but they had their wine glasses from Roots, Rants, and Roars the year before. So they packed their own lunch and went out and sent us pictures of them having wine and a picnic using their wine glasses. The feedback we got from restaurants in terms of how well it worked for them is a lot of them commented on they had new customers that had not been there before, and awareness. A lot of them came back and said that they got customers come for this who didn't even know they existed. So that was really great. It also created new customers for them in the sense that we had one restaurant who you ordered your picnic online through their online store. And after that, they tracked that person to see if they came back. And many of the people who bought picnics came back to their website and bought other things from them or placed other orders. So that was really interesting. The fact that it didn't take up valuable restaurant seats, they were able to sell more food and get people out the door and keep the seats available for other customers. And it generated sales outside of the peak time. So people weren't coming at noon to pick up their picnics. They were coming at 11 o'clock or earlier because they would get their picnic and go for their hike before they'd eat. So it wasn't a big influx of people coming into the restaurant at the same time, which really helped with the COVID restrictions as well. And so this was one of the things, this is the calendar from our website. So what I really liked about this was it really had this calendar of the whole month of September that with things to do that were full. Every day there was something different to do. So being a huge advocate for food tourism, I think it's really important for us to look at how we do more food tourism offerings, and having a full calendar for the month of September, which was all focused around food tourism, was really, really great for us as Roots Ransom Wars, but I think it's really great for the province as well to have that. And so at the end of the promotion, we were left with some backpacks. So we did reach out to a lot of the restaurants again and offer them to run a winter edition of that. We issued some more backpacks, and we promoted the use of some of the different winter activities that were happening in Newfoundland and Labrador, sort of dovetailing along with the province's winter campaign as well. And so, again, I think we don't know what the future holds for festivals and events. I'm not sure even if the guidelines are lifted, if people are going to want to stand in a field with 500 other people or 800 other people. But I think, whatever happens with that part, there's certainly opportunities out there. Just for us, it really forced us to think outside the box in terms of changing the festival. And the My Food Hike portion of this will stay with Roots Ransom Wars forever, no matter what happens with the actual festival itself in the near future. So thank you everyone for listening to me.
That's great, Chris. That's a great story. Well done. Thanks. So we're also delighted to have Dwayne Collins of Hare Bay Adventures. He's on the line, going to start up in a second now. Hare Bay Adventures brings to life natural and cultural heritage of the province. They specialize in hiking, rowing, boating, fishing, and campfire adventures. So Dwayne, the mic is yours.
Thank you. Oh,
You're getting there.
we're getting there.
Don't start the microwave, Dwayne, for God's sake.
No, that's right. Yeah, I'm not sure if the video is going to cut in here. Oh, start the video. Here we go. All right, I think that's it. Yeah, so we got a little introduction to who and what we are. Last year certainly was a different year. When we got the news, with no out of province visitors, we frankly went into a bit of crisis management. From May 15th to July 1st, that's the time of year when we do a lot of our trout fishing tours. And yeah, we lost 10 grand in bookings. So we knew that it was going to be a different year for sure. So we started thinking about ways that we could pivot our product and tailor it more to the staycation market, the resident market. And one of the first things we did was we started changing our shop. We have a shop here that features nothing but Newfoundland and Labrador products. I can't call it just like a gift shop or a craft shop. Basically, if it's a Newfoundland product, we're interested on the retail side. And we have a cafe here. So it started as just like a coffee shop, with sweets and this sort of thing, but we decided to go into light lunches and everything, and we added an outdoor dining feature. We built a large deck and garden that to allow us to give that. We figured that would be a wise kind of way to pivot our product, and it was quite successful. We also do work quite closely with a bunch of other businesses here in Central and in Hare Bay in particular. Particularly, we partner with the shark fishing or the shark company. They do chartered shark fishing out of Hare Bay, all catch and release, fantastic product. They're fairly new as well, growing. And together, we got together and we started offering things like a resettled island tour, where you get it to go out and actually explore some of these resettled islands in Bonavista North. We visit the beaches archaeological site, which is a fantastic archaeological site, rich history, and it's off the beaten path. You know, it is a hidden gem. The kind of the definition of a hidden gem. We also do kind of cod fishing charters. We do whale watching and seabird watching. But seabird watching, that's a bit different than anything else that you're likely to see in the province. Where we go, we're taking people out to more of a feeding ground rather than a bird colony. So we get a wider variety of species, especially some of your offshore species. We've been working with Jared Clark of Bird the Rock. He does, for those of you that don't know Jared, he does guided bird watching trips. Extremely knowledgeable fellow when it comes to the birding opportunities in this province. We also do food adventures. So we've got the cafe, but we also do a campfire meal on the beach featuring local seafood. And that was something that from our own kind of market research, we saw that there was a need, and we were doing that pretty much from the start. But we also pivoted that one and started doing it in conjunction with a whale watching tour. We marketed it as a special occasion package. So you go out with us for several hours of, say, whale watching, and then we take you into one of the outer islands, into an isolated little cove, and we have a campfire meal done for you there. Table and chairs, the whole layout right there on the beach. You know, and we do things like pan-fried cod or lobster, scallops, all this sort of stuff. And we've gotten really a pretty good uptake with that. I think the partnerships and collaborative approach is going to be absolutely key for doing these sort of things. We work, like I said, not only closely with the shark company, we work with accommodators in the region, like Freshwater Inn in Gambo, just a short distance up the road, and the Homestead Adventures down in just outside of Greenspond. You know, but we also, and I would encourage this with a lot of different operators, is reach out to some of the businesses in your area that are not necessarily first thought of when it comes to tourism. We work closely with a couple of different stores here in Hare Bay, Jesse Collins and Sons and Dean Wells Craft and Grocery. They're really like traditional step back in time general stores, and they offer a lot of unique products in that. And they're a big part of the history of the community and that as well. We also work with a couple of the gas stations that are in the area, cross promotion. We work with a couple of the of companies here in Hare Bay, Newfoundland Leather Products, and the Prop Shop. The Prop Shop does metal work and far more than just props. So they do ornamental stuff that we have a few options that we sell here in the shop for them. Same with the leather company. They do fantastic leather work. And so this was things that we started working with these other businesses to basically attract people to come to Hare Bay as kind of like a day trip in Central to go do some shopping, if nothing else. And it got people through our doors to start looking at like the cafe, but also looking at our tour packages. When it comes to adapting to a COVID world, we did change kind of how we were doing some of our tours. We changed some of our tours. We started out doing a rowboat tour and a traditional wooden hand-built punt. And Frankly, I did one of those last year. It just simply was a niche market offer that didn't seem to catch on with the resident market. So we pivoted away from that one. And instead now we're getting more into the trout fishing in the spring, which we get a pretty good uptake with, as along with the longer distance stuff that we're doing kind of out the bay with the shark company. We also changed kind of our pricing, not necessarily reducing the pricing, but we went from a per head pricing structure to a charter. So now all the products that we do on the water, it's a half-day charter or a full-day charter, and the cost remains the same, and we can take up to 6 people. What that has done, I think, is it assures people that aside from their guides, the only other people in the boat they know. It's basically a single bubble or a double bubble, whatever you want to call it. It's friends and family. That's it. And we're at your disposal. It becomes a more personal kind of, it's your adventure. That's how we kind of market it. And I think that's going to be something that's really going to be a big draw going forward, that personalized small group excursion. And, that way who you're in contact with. This year, we are rolling out some new products as well. We are in the process of getting our liquor license for here in the cafe. And what we're going to focus on is serving craft beers, as we just saw a big uptick in their popularity. And it'll be a great opportunity, I think, in this area. There's basically no one doing that. And this will allow some of the brands, particularly some of the brands here in Central, that we can carry some of their product and give them hopefully a little bit more of a wider exposure. On the tour side, we're rolling out an evening tour, a sunset boat tour that would take you out to out the bay here. We'd leave about 6 or 6:30, get back around 9:30. Goes out, say, we'll do a circuit of the bay, take you out to Bragg's Island, one of those resettled places. And it would also include a light lunch or a light meal, light supper. Again, wrapping that food and experience together, that culinary experience. The local side of culinary is really critical for us, whether it's seafood that we kind of purchase pretty much entirely directly from some of the local fishermen in the area, to our vegetables, which mostly either come from our own garden or the small organic farmer that's just up the road. So we do a lot of cross promotion with him as well. So that's kind of Herbe Adventures in a nutshell, I think. It's interesting to see the reaction to it. When we sat down, myself and my wife and Brian Oram, who owns the shark company, we sat down last, I guess it would have been the beginning of last May, discussing our tour products. And we were like, how many tours is going to be a success for this year? And we're like, anything past 1, but it got off to a slow start. We didn't really get rolling until, I would say, late July. But from late July through to almost the end of September, we didn't quite meet our projected targets pre-COVID, but we didn't miss them very far when it came to the tours themselves. Now, take that for what it's will. We're actually, we're cautiously optimistic that this year with the staycation, the Atlantic bubble, maybe the tail end of the summer we'll get into a national travel bubble, but that the consumer confidence will be greater. And I think that's what really slowed things down at the start of the summer. The resident market, while they were allowed to travel, I don't think at first they were eager to travel. This year, I suspect you're going to see a quicker outflowing or a movement of people as the weather turns nice. So, yeah, I guess that sums up what I'm doing. And if you have any questions.
That's great, Dwayne. Really interesting story. And if that's your hair bay in a nutshell, that's a very interesting nutshell for sure. Thanks. All right, great.
You're welcome.
Next up is Autumn Gale of the U and Draw Hotel, which is a boutique hotel in Western NL in Corner Brook. It's family owned and operated and is thoughtfully curated to pay homage to the beauty and the bounty of the region. And I think it's almost as wondrous and inspired by nature as Autumn's name is. So Autumn Gale, you're up.
So as Stan mentioned, my name is Autumn Gale. I'm the Director of Operations for the Hue and Draw Hotel and Boomstick Brewing Company. We are locally owned in Corner Brook. We opened March 1st, 2020, which put us at a little bit of a disadvantage, of course. We have 3 businesses here under our roof: the hotel, the brewery, and a restaurant space, which we lease to a local restaurateur, Dave Batcher of Best Coast Restaurant. Our hotel and brewery, really every part of our property was designed to be a place of gathering. Especially in the tap room and the hotel lobby, we really envisioned our space being communal, a place where you share tables with other groups of people, where our guests felt encouraged and engaged to socialize with each other. I mean, we as the management group and the owners are very friendly and social creatures ourselves, so we wanted to reflect that. And we also wanted to make the space modern and attractive, yet not at all pretentious or intimidating. So it was a really fun project to carve out. It took a lot of thought and careful design. So right here in the photos that you see now, this was just before we opened on March 1st. So as you can imagine, COVID really threw us for a loop, because so much of our energy in the year past had gone into curating shared space. It was definitely a challenge to then start thinking about completely modifying to a world of forced separation. So through the thick of the shutdown, our hotel partially closed. We only kept several rooms open for frontline and essential workers, and we kept a very small skeleton crew, basically just our management team on board. Luckily, as everyone so far has mentioned, craft beer has proved to be pandemic proof. So our small team really just focused on brewery production. Having only been in operation for 2 weeks, not a lot of people knew who we were yet. So although we were successful in getting into all the NLCs across the province, they weren't open for business. It was only online sales. So the first thing that we really wanted to do was increase our brand awareness. And to do that, we started doing a live tasting series on Facebook to help promote not only our beer, but also our hotel. So we did a series of 7 different videos where we were featured in different areas of the building, and we featured a different one of our beers, and we paired it with a local restaurant's food who was still open for takeout. And also it was a really fun project to do, because it gave us an opportunity to have a little bit of fun amidst everything that was happening in the world. After we summed that up, I really set my sights on the summer, hoping that we'd be able to open at least a little bit and we'd be able to salvage some business. So we started working on some COVID-friendly ideas for the hotel and brewery. The first big project was to develop safe outdoor space. Because of our location on West Street in Corner Brook, and with very limited parking, we didn't have an option to do anything on the ground level. But luckily, before opening, we did create an outdoor rooftop patio. It wasn't originally supposed to happen in year 1, but we were really focused on getting rooftop hot tubs as an amenity for our guests. And in order to do that, we needed to construct our patio. So prior to COVID, the intent for the non-hot tub side of the patio, which is what you're looking at now, that was just to be a gathering space for our guests. But in 2020, instead, we created an outdoor restaurant area where we had food and drink service 7 days a week. We did rooftop yoga classes that are spaced, as you can see, for the public and for our hotel guests. And we hosted outdoor live stream concerts for anyone who wanted to perform. And we even had some small ticketed events like craft beer releases. And then the second big project was, trying to figure out how to make our hotel successful during COVID. And so we started to develop a full line of staycation packages. So personally, I wanted to do 3 things with our package offerings. First, to get the word out about our businesses, because we really didn't have an opportunity to build our reputation in the first 2 weeks. Second was to support as many other local businesses as possible without it being overwhelming to the consumer. So that's something that I was very conscientious about, especially coming from the craft beer industry, is trying not to create market fatigue. So we didn't want to have too many packages. And then third, it was to promote the entire Bay of Islands region through our offerings. Anyone from Western Newfoundland will be able to tell you that oftentimes Corner Brook is a drive-by location on the way to more tourist popular areas in Newfoundland. So a silver lining in the whole staycation idea was that it gave our area an opportunity to expose ourselves, at the very least to the province, and to hopefully boost future interest in some of our best and unintentionally kept secrets. So picture here, this was our first offering. This is our Father's Day package called Bed, Barbecue, and Beers. So you can see the tagged companies. We partnered with ourselves and Juniper Barbecue Scraper, Rugged Edge, and Saucy Newfoundland Company to bring this package together. For the season, we ended up going with 2 themes of packages. The first being internal packages that really promoted the hotel and brewery for your staycation, but didn't include any pre-booked adventure aspect to the trip. The thought process being that, people freshly released from shutdown would want to break away either by themselves, with a friend, or with a partner. The Treat Yourself and A Little Love packages were really popular. So Treat Yourself was booked mainly by women, and especially when it was first released, it was booked quite a lot as a belated Mother's Day gift, because we reopened June 8th. So Mother's Day was kind of a lost holiday for the industry. So a lot of people were booking that in June. But by far, most popular was the Little Love package. Even right now, in 2021, we're selling several of these packages every week. I didn't do the math, but I would say that the Little Love package accounted for about 70% of our package sales in 2020. Bring a Friend wasn't overly popular. I did find that anyone who was traveling with a friend was actually looking for more of an experience package. So we're not looking to bring that one back in 2021. Just for reference, I also included a screenshot from our Christmas package details, just to touch briefly on working with partners who are not in the tourism industry. So for Christmas, we did a shop local promotion where we partnered with 11 businesses external to our building, offering various deals that they decided. And I wanted to mention this one because it was popular, but just for everyone's awareness, in case you were thinking about doing something like this, it's very work intensive. So doing this package meant cold calling all the local businesses, following up with them, waiting for them to figure out if they want to participate and what they would do. And then we had to handle all of the design and printing of the material ourselves. So it did sell really well. And now that the initial work is done, I do intend on offering this again this year. It's just kind of a heads up for anyone who saw this promoted on our website and was considering it. It might not be feasible if you're strapped for time or resources. The second theme for our packages was outdoor experiences and adventures. So we partnered with several outdoor experiential operators in the Bay of Islands area to combine an adventure with a hotel stay. So every single one of the packages that we offered was booked in 2020. Some were notably more popular than others. Most popular was definitely Marble Zip Tours. So I have a theory as to why that was. I think it's probably the best known outdoor adventure to do item in Western Newfoundland outside of Grossmore. And then secondly, it's very family friendly. So the Hugh and Draws Boutique Hotel, we welcome families, but that isn't necessarily our target market. And so I think that myself, I severely underestimated family travel in 2020. So that is something that we'll be focusing more on for 2021, because there was a lot of families looking for things to do with their kids. But again, every package was definitely worthwhile in my mind. It was fun setting them up, and we loved working with our partners. So we're just starting to reach out now for the 2021 season. One thing we will be working harder on is just a heavier marketing push on our packages this year, and making sure that all of the adventure packages make it onto the provincial website, because I really only had time to get our internal packages on there last year. And we had a lot of people coming in and commenting that, they saw our Little Love package sponsored on a website and they clicked on it. And I think we would have gotten a lot more visibility with our adventure packages had I taken the time to do that. So looking forward to the upcoming season and what else we can offer. We're definitely going to be rebooting all of our popular 2020 offerings with some changes and additions. And with the hopeful step towards a bit more normalcy, we're going to be investing more time in promoting the hotel as the hotel brewery combo. It's still a very unique product. There are only 3 other places in Canada that have hotels and breweries combined under one roof. So that's something that we really want to get out there, and I really want to amalgamate that in people's minds and change it from being a hotel that also has a brewery to more of a brewery that you can sleep in. So that said, in 2020, we had to put a hold on brewery tours for safety reasons, but the goal is for this upcoming summer to get that program running, and perhaps instead of the Bring a Friend package, which I mentioned we probably won't do again, we'll do a brewery package that includes tours, tastings, maybe some food pairings, and I'm working with a couple of external partners to hopefully include nearby breweries and transportation into the mix as well. So that's kind of an overview of everything that we did and what we're hoping to do. That's about it. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Great job. Really creative, Adam. And anytime I can find myself to a brewery I can sleep in, you've hooked me on that for sure. I'm all about that. Well done. Our last operator today is Angela Gilly of the Floridian Hotel, a 4-star accommodation located in picturesque Fort Tow in Labrador. Ange is reaching us, I believe, via her vehicle as she's driving along the coast or somewhere. So Ange, if you're good to go, we're good to listen to you.
Ange is always on the move. And Ange don't
Hey,
stay
babe.
still a whole lot.
Hey, Ange.
How you doing today? Everybody is good, I'm sure. Nice to hear your voice, Stan.
Good to see you. Go ahead.
And it's the Florian Hotel, my love.
What did I say?
You called it the Floridian. That's in Florida.
Geez.
And I'll
Sorry.
let you off this. I'll let you
know
off with it
better.
this time because the weather is as nice here as it is in
know.
Florida, but the temperatures are a little lower.
Listen, I'm officially reading notes. If I wasn't reading the friggin' notes, I'd say it properly because I know better.
It's all good, my man. So guys, I'm Ange Gilly. I'm the head chef and the operator of the Florian Hotel in Fort Tow. So we're on the south coast of Labrador. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a very positive person. So COVID, as being as bad as it was, I always look for the positive side of motivational goal setting. So I've prepared this presentation. Our great staff at H&L is going to do it for me because, as Stan said, and as you can tell, I'm actually sitting in my vehicle while I'm doing this today, but I'm very dedicated to our industry. So I didn't want to pass up the opportunity to talk. So moving forward with our slides here, COVID-19 hit. I had 600 cancellations, sorry. There was no end in sight for the virus. And now what do we do? So the questions I had was, where do we begin? Who will come through our doors? And where will our focus go now that the tourists are gone? So what I honed in on right away was a stay-at-home campaign that was developed by the province. I guess the first thing is, what will the expectations be of our traveler now that it's not tourism driven? So for me, it was delivering services and experiences to guests from away. Well, it's our thing. It's what we do. People come here from all over the world to experience our province and are ready to pay the price to do so. However, how do we change our ways of thinking to still put heads in beds and fill our dining rooms with locals? What do I do to sell my rooms? We can move forward with the slides there, guys, please. And you can go to the next one. Thank you. So I marketed the Trans-Labrador Highway. I marketed to the traveling guest. I'm situated on the south coast of Labrador, and it's right where the ferry runs to Newfoundland. I marketed to the traveler driving the TLH, either families visiting the island or coming this way to visit families in Labrador. I offered hot dinners from my kitchen at all hours, so guests did not only have a comfortable bed, but a great meal as well after driving all day. I also converted 4 of my rooms into pet-friendly rooms to penetrate the pet market. The only point I will make here is to ensure you have a liability contract signed. I haven't had issues personally with dogs. People who travel with their pets for the most part are great, but ensure you are taking care of yourself as well. I offer special rates for large families so they could book 2 rooms. Everyone was comfortable, and I was making it up in the restaurant sales. I make people feel at home. First impressions upon entering my property are equally as important as a comfortable beds or great food. People need to know you care, especially when the world is at such a place of uncertainty. In our dining room, we can move forward again. Thank you. Catering to local fare in the dining room is also different when cooking for the general public. I do many high-end meals for tourists and business travelers that are local, but our local business is not going to entertain a $80 lobster dish or $30 for fresh cod. As you know, the answer to that would be, sure, I'm not paying that for codfish. So again, you change menus and servings to what your target audience would want. I took my menu down to a more relaxed road, offering fish and chips, club sandwiches, a great burger, steaks, pork chops. I offered menu items that were reasonably priced while catching the attention of any traveler. So outside of our regular dining room sales and booking our beds, I look for opportunities outside of that. So when we opened the Florian Hotel in 2016, I wanted to offer something different than was being offered by everybody else. I always envisioned high-end culinary experiences in our area that were never offered before. We have the views, we have the Trans-Labrador Highway, we have national historical sites, we have the World UNESCO site, and we have the Pioneer Footpath. So I have been deemed the executive Basque chef with Parks Canada, which is a huge accomplishment. For our Red Bay site, I offer small bites on Saddle Island, where the Basque whalers were settled in the 16th century. So I'm actually the first person to cook there since then. So it's kind of incredible to be able to offer this experience to people who know about this World UNESCO site internationally. I also do multi-course Basque meals in my dining room. This was an opportunity that I jumped at because it's something that was completely different than what anybody else was doing. And to be trained by a Basque chef and partner with Parks Canada was a great collaboration, not only a high-end experience, but also something that could continue when COVID hit, because we do small groups and we could keep it within bubbles and still get the same price point from whoever wanted to do it. Locals were as excited as tourists because it's a really, really unique experience. So here, this is Basque Pinchos on Saddle Island. So this was an experience that I did last summer for 8 guests. They had a tour around the island by Parks Canada staff, and then they came back to the stage where we offered Basque Pinchos. So the next slide is I just wanted to show you what the food looked like. So it's all small bites. We also have a liquor license, so we can offer the Basque red and white wine with this. It all depends what the clientele is looking for. But we also do a kid-friendly version as well. My next slide is my son, and I had to show him. It's exciting to me. I only have one, and he is 7. And I always call him my sous chef, and it makes him feel really good. He dresses in the clothing, and he introduces the bites to our guests. And I just had to put in that I can't do a presentation about our successes and not include him, because he certainly is. He is the inspiration that makes me help me do what I do every day and be successful. So just a little shout out to Kane. This is an example of the multi-course offering I do in our dining room. There's 18 different Basque recipes on this table. So what I did is I took the learning I received from the Basque chef and paired it with traditional fare. So I've incorporated Basque into traditional Newfoundland and Labrador food, which gave us our Basque fusion, which is what I offer every day. So I moved on to the National Historical Site, which is Pointe-More Lighthouse. It's the second tallest in Canada. So it's kind of cool to have experiences out there as well. So I look for opportunities of growth and awareness in that region. So what I did is I offered dinners in the lighthouse. Actually, we worked our way up the tower, which was kind of cool. So we can move forward, guys, so I can speed it up a little bit. So this is how the tables were set, and we set them up in all different areas of the lighthouse, so people could stay in their bubbles and have spacing. So we can move forward, please. So this is local fare. This is a mousse ragout, lobster bisque. I do a bread pudding. We grow our beets. whatever we can do local and homegrown is what we use in these experiences. So I also do picnics out in Point More, super successful, loads of space, right on the Atlantic. Everyone would eat it up. It was really cool. You get groups of girlfriends coming, couples, families, loads of space to social distance. People picked their menu before they came, and their pails were made for them. So dietary restrictions, anything that they needed was all available. Yep, so this is just pictures showing you what people look like that were there. And then I just finished off with, I am Chef Ange of the Florian Hotel. I'm dedicated, I'm driven and ambitious. I look for opportunities and make the best of the hands I'm dealt. Everyone has equal opportunity to succeed in this business. It is determination that will get you there. And I tell you, there's been a lot of determination on my side, because we are in Labrador, and as much as there's no accidental tourists to the island, there's definitely no accidental tourists to Labrador. So it's good to have some high-end opportunities to get people on this side. But thank you very much.
Ange.
That's about it for me. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ange, of the Florian Hotel, as well to all the other operators. We're going to separate now into this session into two different breakout rooms, the focus being to promote operator to operator dialogue. That's what we want to do. So our master technician, Curtis, is going to send us to the, I believe it's the iceberg room or the puffin room. And we can meet back here afterwards and keep us close to 12:30. So when you get to the breakout rooms, I would say it's probably sensible then to if there's not too many of us, to pop our screens on and we can all look at each other for a few minutes. So I'll see you back here close to 12:30. Curtis, please.
All right, and away you go.
Thanks, buddy. So thanks, folks. Much appreciated. Obviously, there's a real big industry out there. There was only 40 out of us or whatever it was on the call today, but there's 2,700 to 3,000 folks that are out there that are running businesses. And if you know someone that could benefit from some sessions like these, please reach out to them, tell them, and encourage them to get involved with Hospitality NL and encourage them to take part in these one industry sessions. I think it has a lot of value. Thanks big time to John and his team, obviously Chris, Dwayne, Autumn, and Ange. That was excellent presentations, and we'll see all these folks back on Wednesday as they present again for me. But for the other folks that are out there, we do have another session this afternoon. And of course, I mentioned earlier, these 3 sessions we're offering today are going to be offered again on Wednesday. So if you have any questions, ideas, comments, thoughts, please don't hesitate to contact Hospitality NL. They'll be glad to help you and your business. Have a great day, folks. Thanks so much to the presenters, and thanks so much for everyone else for registering and sitting in on this. Cheers.